So, Armscor University, this week we are going over those of you that live in those states that like to have a little more say than they probably should about what you're allowed to have. But we do believe that everyone should have the ability to have something to defend themselves, your family, your loved ones, your community with. So, we provide things to do those things with, and obviously, depending on where you live, determines what things you can buy. Now, what I've gone through is I went and got our master info sheet, which you can find on any of the price lists that you get. There's going to be a tab in the bottom of the Excel sheet that says Firearms Master Info. And there you can get a plethora of information. I mean, everything from how much does the gun weigh, how much does the slide weigh, how much does the frame weigh, how long is the slide, how long is the barrel, all that kind of stuff, right? What I did was I went through that sheet and basically took out anything that has nothing to do with any of the states like California, Massachusetts, and Maryland. And then I did a little color code system. So if you're just looking through and you see a blue box, then that's going to be a firearm that California is compliant in having. If you see a green box, that is a firearm that Maryland is compliant for. And then if you see a kind of a pink orangish box, that's going to be anything that's Massachusetts. So it's just a nice, quick way for you to be able to look down and be like, okay, so if you live in California and just scroll through this list, just look for anything that's blue. You see the GI series, ROC series. It's still broken down like that. So, and I'll tell you what, let's just go ahead and bring that up to the screen. Okay. So as you can see, like I said, you've got your, what is it? It's pistol, 1911 GI series, and these are going to be all the SKUs that have either been approved by California, Maryland, or Massachusetts. If it was not approved by any of those three states, I just deleted it off this list, so you don't have to see them for now, okay? As you can see, the GI is probably the most popular when it comes to all the three states that have these kind of stipulations and whatnot. So what I'm going to do is that for this particular video, obviously, as you know, if you attend, then this is a live stream portion of it. Afterwards, I'm going to do the video editing and create a video that will launch on our YouTube channel, and I send that link out to you. In that email, I will have this particular sheet attached to that email, so if you choose to, you can download it and have it at your own disposal if you ever choose to or need it for whatever information you need. Okay, so I'm not going to go over every specific SKU, but we are going to just kind of breeze through this list so that you know and understand what options you have available depending on which state you live in. So like I said, the GI series pretty much can get in all three states. Not all the models, but you can get that model of firearm. Once you move on to the ROC series, now remember ROC means it's your standard 1911 frame, and then anything that is either a standard means that it's the modernized version of a 1911 without the super fancy upgrades, and then Ultra, the Cadillac of the 1911, right? So looking through the ROC series, so we know this is a series that is just the good old clean 1911 look. You got a couple options. There's three options here for California with the EFS stainless steel. We get the stainless standard in compact and full size, and then we have a ROC standard that has a Cerakote finish. I believe it's gunmetal gray is the color. Okay, so those are you in California. You can purchase those ROC series firearm pistols. And then Maryland, a little bit more free of a state when it comes to the ROC series of pistols. You can see here, you've got everything except for the three that are California compliant, which is, I don't know, kind of silly to me, right? But a lot of more options there, and unfortunately, Massachusetts, none of the ROC series is legal for you to have in Massachusetts. Baby ROC, the 380 ACP version, that is Maryland compliant. That is not California or Massachusetts. Same with the TAC series. So, unfortunately, California and Massachusetts, sorry. Maryland, you do get to play with quite a few of the TAC series. And the Pro series, again, Massachusetts, they just don't want you to play with their guns or our firearms. But California, you can have the Pro Match 45 ACP version. as well as Maryland. And then Maryland, you're allowed to have the other three versions that I have on this list, which is the Ultra Match 6-inch 45 ACP, the High Cap 40 Smith & Wesson, that's more of the USPSA limited style pistol, and then you can have the 6-inch 10 millimeter 8-round version. So you cannot have the high cap or big rock as we call it, but you can have a single stack version, which is still a very nice pistol. Okay. Now, oops, I've missed these. As you can see, yep, there we go. Okay. The STK 100. Okay, so this is the 9-round 10, or 9mm 10-round version. You can see California, you're not compliant. Sorry, micro stamping and all that kind of fun stuff. However, Maryland and Massachusetts, we are pending. So we have submitted that firearm for approval with those states, and we're just waiting to hear back an answer. So once we do get an answer, I will be sure to let you know that the STK 100 is completely and utterly free and available for your purchase and to be able to sell in Maryland and Massachusetts, or if we get denied. But from there, the MAPP version of our pistol, again, Maryland, yes. California, Massachusetts, unfortunately, no. Revolvers. I mean, it's, when you look at this list and you see these comparisons, it's just like further on, like makes me think like how silly some of these laws and restrictions are, right? Because like California, you're allowed the M206, the snub nose 38 special, but you can't have the M200, which is the longer version. I don't know, it just doesn't make sense to me. But you can have one of our revolvers in California. Maryland, I mean, yeah, you don't let your people have some of the toys, but you do let them at least have all the revolvers. So good on you for that. Massachusetts, unfortunately, that's a negative. And then the medium frame stuff that we have, that is from Armscor, or I'm sorry, not Armscor, Rock Island Armory Imports. So there's going to be the AL-22, the 22Ms, both in stainless and blued. Those are pending official results from Maryland. Unfortunately, California and Massachusetts, again, was a negative. But the good news is, like we said, we do have a lot of options, and these are where we start getting into the availability for all three states being pretty wide open. So instead of talking about everything that is open, let's talk about the specific models where there are restrictions, such as the T-Pass shotgun, which is the Ithaca-style bottom-fed, bottom-ejecting pump-action shotgun. That is not compliant in Maryland or Massachusetts, but it is compliant and allowed in California. Other than that, all the other pump shotguns that we have available, well, majority, I'm not going to say all, but majority of them are going to be compliant with all three states, as you can see here. So whether or not it's for hunting, our combos are all compliant. The youth hunting and the youth combos, all compliant for your states. Auto loading or semi-autos. In the tactical line, we've got the Lion Tactical semi-auto 12 gauge. And that one is not compliant in California. I believe the reason for that is because the X4 has a pistol grip style, which we all know is one of the rules in California, right? So that's going to be a no-go for California, but Maryland, Massachusetts, you're good to go with the X4. And then the other semi-auto firearms that are used for hunting and youth hunting, so the Lion and the Field Walnuts and Realtree Max 5 and all that kind of stuff, those are all absolutely perfectly fine for all three states, including for youth hunting, which is important. Let's make sure that we understand what happens with Biden's whole, we're not coming after your guns for hunting, man. We're just going to come after the hunting programs and make it so that kids don't learn about it and don't want to participate about it, right? So, guys, if you get a chance to take your kids out, grandkids, cousins, nephews, nieces, anything, to teach them the joys of being outdoors and hunting and being a safe, responsible firearms owner, absolutely I suggest you take a chance and take some time to make that happen, because it is important. Obviously, the next generation is the future, And if we let them dig their claws in tight enough to our future, we let them control it. So try not to get too political here. But all right, so lever action, again, all three states absolutely compliant. No issues with the lever action or the side-by-side or the single shots. Now, the VR, so the vertical receiver or mag-fed shotguns that we have available. Maryland, you're allowed to have the VR-80 standards, or I'm sorry, the VR-60 standard and the VR-80 standard, but California and Massachusetts are not. California, you're allowed to have the VR-80 California. Maryland and Massachusetts are not allowed to have that version. And then as far as the VR-80 F-less stock or featureless stock is what that stands for, California and Massachusetts are allowed to have those, and Maryland is not. So, Maryland, you're allowed to have the standard 60, VR60 and VR80, but you can't have the California or the featureless stock version. California can have the California version, and then the featureless stock, which is featureless, stands for that having the thumb hole filled with that sheet of plastic, so you can't physically put your thumb through the grip. You are allowed to have that in Massachusetts and California. So a little bit of everything for everybody, which I'm happy to see that everyone can get at least a version of the VR80, because I think that's fantastic, fantastic shotgun. From there, rifles, bolt action. We have the M14Y and the YTA bolt action rifles. Those are both 22 long rifles. California, no. Maryland, Massachusetts, yes. As far as auto loading goes, we have the YTA semi-auto rifle and 22 long rifle. California, no. And everywhere else is yes for all of those, except for the TM22 Realtree Timber, which is pending approval from Maryland and Massachusetts. I don't see any reason why they wouldn't allow it, because they allowed our 18 and 20 inch all black version, the Realtree Timber version. There's a couple things that are different with that. The handguard's a little bit longer, so we could get more camo pattern to cover it, and it comes with an optic. But other than that, it's the exact same gun. So, you know, we're just pending approval for that particular model. Now, this is where, you know, we talk about the 22 TCM, and unfortunately, a lot of these states, they're not allowed to have those firearms come in. But it's still a fantastic round. It's just a fun round to shoot. It's fun to take to the range. It's a great transition round from rimfire to centerfire if the person you're teaching hasn't quite developed the grip strength necessary to handle a full-size firearm like a 9mm, therefore causing limp wristing issues and stovepipes and stuff. Then this could be a fantastic firearm caliber for that transition phase of let's really focus and hone in on how to grip a firearm properly and the kind of pressures we need to put on to create a solid wall for the gun to recoil against. You're not allowed to have the gun, but that doesn't mean that you can't shoot the round. And we do that by using our conversion kits. You can typically find these conversion kits on our retail website, which is www.advancedtactical.com. You can also find a lot of accessories that fit our firearms. We sell holsters for like the 5.0 there. We sell mag pouches. We sell extra parts, cleaning kits, ear protection, eye protection. I mean, it can be an your one-stop shop online resource for anything firearms related and range related. So Maryland does not allow the sale of our 22 TCM 9R conversion kit for the 1911, but California and Massachusetts will. The MAPP or the Witness, you can buy the conversion kits for the mid-size and full-size. That's a barrel conversion kit. So you're going to get a barrel and a spring, and then you run the same magazines through the same frame. And you put those in, obviously, to the same slide. Okay? So that's allowed through California, Maryland, and Massachusetts, as well as the Glock 22 TCM 9R barrel conversion kits for Glock 17 and Glock 19. So again, what you are getting is just the conversion kit with the barrel and the spring. Other than that, you install the barrel, put the spring on the guide rod, and put the same upper onto your same typical lower of that firearm, and now you're running the 22 TCM 9R round. Important to remember, that you do need to have the 22 TCM 9R round because it is going to be physically a true overall length of a 9mm. If you run the standard 22 TCM bullet with the pointed soft tip nose, those bullets are physically too long to fit inside of the MAPP or the EAA Witness magazine or your standard Glock mag. Okay? So, with that being said, like I said, when we get this email sent out, I'll be sure to have this file attached so you can download it for your own personal use if you choose to have it so. Micro stamping is currently on hold in California. Okay. Well, we'll have to see then. I will send that submission. I'm not sure what other stipulations there are to try and get as far as getting our guns on the California roster. If it were up to me, I would love to see the roster just go away. Like, easy solution to the problem, right? Because there is no problem. The problem is the roster. But so, with that being said, again, I hope you guys found this episode of Armscor U useful, some good information. Maybe you saw a couple guns that you didn't realize you could purchase or anything like that. Like I said, once this email goes out, make sure you keep your eyes out for it. So if you need to watch this video for a refresher, that will be there at your disposal. And then this price list or this information sheet, I'm going to try to make available on that email as well. Now, there is one more thing that I need from anyone that attends this class or watches the videos. And that is, in the comments, you can comment on those videos even though they are unlisted. These are videos that are only being sent out to those that are on our mailing list. So this is not just generally open to public. Let me hear back from you. What kind of feedback you have about what you'd like to hear more of, what you would like to hear less of. And because I'm trying to figure out what is the best time to try and accommodate you as the dealers, because your time is obviously your money. And I don't necessarily want to interrupt your busy days or your week or anything like that. And I definitely don't want to interrupt your weekend if that's the only time you get off. But let me know in the comments of some of these videos what you think the best day and the best time frame would be to be putting these classes on, because I'm kind of just trying to play around and see whether or not I can get engagement from changing the days or the times a little bit. But if you guys just let me know, like, I know here in the town I'm at, the Mondays, a lot of businesses are closed, the small time businesses, because that's the day that most people go back to work. The kids are going back to school. So Monday's just not the busiest day. So they will close Monday, Tuesday, and then be open Wednesday through Sunday, because the weekend is the busy time where everyone's off and everyone wants to go shopping and stuff. So let me know if there's a particular day and a particular time frame that you would prefer to see these live broadcasts go on, so that you could jump on and ask questions like Jack does. Jack, thank you again for tuning in. I know you're solid as far as always watching, so I appreciate it. Then yeah, I would absolutely love to be able to hear your feedback about what I can do better to help encourage and build this relationship between the dealers and us here at Rock on the Armory and Armscor, so that we can strengthen our business relationship, which would strengthen the two-way community relationship, which would strengthen us as a country and as a whole. So with that being said, thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Armscor University. I was, of course, the National Training Manager, John McLean. If you have any questions, concerns, comments, please feel free to email me at johnmclean@armscor.com. And with that being said, I will see you on the next episode of Armscor U.